That's it. If you profile these people as criminals, they're more likely to jump into that camp. That's what the research says. Can we talk about the myth of Australia's migrant youth gangs? Okay, this is the title of a research article that was just published this year. My name is David, by the way. I like to talk about migration and other stuff here online. I'm also a PhD candidate, so research is some of my jam. Look, I made some videos just a few weeks ago around migration. A lot of people said in the comments, oh, but like, we should bring migrants in, but not the violent ones. We don't want them bringing in all their gangs. And it was as if, regardless of all the net positive effects of having migrants in a country, they were like zoned in on like, I don't want machete yielding internationals into my country. Here's the thing, right? The news has an amazing way of skewing information and making us fearful. But this research paper that was, I'll put the link in the profile if you want, link in the description, sorry. This looked at criminology records from the Australian Youth Safety Survey of nearly 3,000 people, 2,945 young people aged between 14 and 25. And they looked at some of the first or second generation migrant gang around Australia. And I'm just going to summarize this for you, but here's what they found. The media exacerbates moral panic around youth gangs. It makes for good news, it keeps you watching, and then the ads roll, and then the news companies make their money, okay? Political media discourse also highlights it. If you want to push against migrants, just grab a small handful of fearful news stories and throw that out at people. Now, this has been used in the United States, the United Kingdom, and other European countries as well. And there's always going to be this anti-migration political agenda, and they're going to employ some of these kind of tactics. There's also just inherent racism or ethnic profiling that happens within all this. Now, gang involvement is definitely an identified risk for young people, regardless of ethnicity. Gang violence, being part of a gang or a youth gang, is a thing, not denying that. And we can look at things like, what's the individual like? What are their family like? What are their peers like? All these things are contributing factors. What's their school like? All these things, neighborhoods, a whole lot of contributing factors to this. Now, young people share identity, and sometimes that identity or ethnic identity can be shared in gangs. Also, we're not arguing that. Now, this paper here draws from the Wave 1 of the Australian Youth Safety Survey. Now, with all good research, these guys outline some of their limitations. You can look at that as well. And they're not denying that some youths are engaged in violence and do participate in youth gangs. So let me read straight from the conclusion here. It's not to say that no members of youth gangs in Australia are first or second generation migrants, but rather that the perception of gangs based exclusively on ethnic identity is actually unfounded. We identified that the individual self-control, morality, all act as protective factors against youth gang membership, and that neighborhood context is an important part of that. The challenges associated with immigration settlement experience are numerous, and community integration of immigrants is undermined by racialized public messaging strategies that promote dichotomies of us and them and seek to accentuate the difference. A focus on creating and strengthening positive images of migrants rather than instilling blame and mistrust will be more conducive to social benefits of society. That's it. If you profile these people as criminals, they're more likely to jump into that camp. That's what the research says.